Welcome back to the Love, Truth, and Power podcast, where men are closing this journey in search for their fathers. In this episode, they find healing and provide encouragement and empowerment. Thanks for joining us. Let's get into it.
Mike, come on, start us off here. I call on you for several different reasons. Just to hear off the top the edge, even though you never experienced that, what's your take on that? What's your perspective? Do I need to read it again?
Yeah, read it one more time.
Okay, I'll read it one more time. If you were a child with an absent father, what would you say to encourage you? So you're talking to yourself. You're that child, right? Talking to yourself. What would you say to encourage you as a child?
I think I would try to say and encourage myself that it's not personal. If he's not there, it's not because he doesn't want to be there. It's because there's outside underlying factors preventing him from being there or complicating it from being there. Because I wouldn't want myself to fall into resentment and to fall into judgment and hatred towards my dad, because I'm thinking that you're not here because of me, that it's something that I did, or that it's something specifically involving me that you're not in my life.
That's an interesting point of view
there. Correct. That was
it. It is.
It was. So
not mine, but that's an interesting point of view.
Nate, talk to me.
Being that my father wasn't, I call him father of my dad. He wasn't present. He was present at a point, and then he was absent at a different point, and then he was present again. That going back to the absent parts, I would say, talking to myself, I would say have that conversation earlier. Don't wait till you're 22 years old. When something traumatic happens to you.
The conversation we missed.
And the conversation I had when I was 22 was after I had suffered my heart attack. That's the time when I finally had the conversation, because I looked at it as myself, my health. I don't know if I'm going to have that conversation with him again, or have a chance to have that question. So I would say have it younger, when you're younger, not older. Being because I'd been through so much, like I said, in the last 3 years, than I was 16 years ago when I was 8, when the things went down. So it's like, have that conversation early, because you never know when things are going to happen. So all the questions you want to have, you want to ask him now, because you never know. Life is not tomorrow's my promise.
As a child, yeah.
Tomorrow's my promise. So that's why I would tell my younger self.
And we're so inquisitive as children, aren't we? Children are always inquisitive. They want to ask you everything. I got a grandson, he'll ask me any and everything that come across his mind. So Trayvon, that child, what are you saying? What are you saying right now?
For me, man, it would be I gotta do better, and I gotta be there for my kids for sure. I gotta be, it gotta be more than the scenario I'm in. It gotta be more for my kids, for sure.
That's interesting. Mr. Page, I'm gonna read the question again.
Yeah, you gotta read it.
No, I'm gonna read it for a reason.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I got this.
I'm just saying.
If you were a child with an absent father, what would you say to encourage you as a child? Talk to me, Dave.
I got 4 words for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my fault.
Wow.
Because I'm a
And,
product.
and that was part of the last question, right? We talked about
Yeah.
taking the blame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
Mm.
So why should I burden something that I had no responsibility, no play in at all? Why should I burden that? That ain't my fault. That's the only thing I can tell myself at that age.
Interesting. That was good. That was good.
That's a great answer.
Isaac, wow. What are you saying to yourself when Dad's not there, when Dad's absent? You're going back to talk the facts. What are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to you when Dad's not there?
I remember being. I hate you, man. I remember being in Payson, South Carolina. I remember being, as young as I probably can remember was maybe, and I'm gonna ask you a question. Maybe it was probably man, 4th grade, and everybody's dad was there but mine. My stepdad is not in the picture yet. Okay, so it's just me and my mother, and I don't recall what was going on at the school that day. It could have been bring your dad to school day. It could have been, the little recess Olympics or something like that. And I was the only one that didn't have a father there. I still remember that. And so I would tell my younger self to be strong and it's gonna be okay. That's that's it. That's probably what I would say. But I remember that. I still remember that. You know what I'm saying? And so I would tell my younger self that it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Wow, man.
Cause it ain't my fault.
Yeah. And those.
This in the 70s.
Those are gonna help me build what I'm about to say. It's not only is it not your fault that you, oh my God, man, I don't even want to get emotional on this again. Not only is that it's not your fault, I can remember vividly, I'm telling you, standing next to my mother, standing next to her. You know how we stand behind Mama dress when we were younger?
Yeah,
we're still behind her, talking to my father, and looking at him and not knowing what the freaking conversation was about. Why am I hiding behind my mother looking at my father? Why am I hiding behind her dress looking at my dad while they converse? Be it they argue, whatever the case may be, she wants money, she needs money, whatever. But I'm looking at him the whole time. And I would say to myself back then to say something to him. Because of the curiosity of me looking at him. And I've been a part of that conversation with my mother several times, because guess what? I'm the youngest. So wherever she went, guess who went?
You were, yep.
All I knew was that I knew him. That's Dad. But I needed to say something. That's what I would tell myself. Ask the questions that you're curious about at 10, 11, 12.
Because these 10-year-olds, they do it now.
They do it now.
Yeah.
If you have or had a present and engaged father, what is something you can share with him and the audience that you appreciate or appreciated the most about him as your father? Isaac, I'm going to start this segment with you.
Man, my dad. And I love and respected my dad so much that when I graduated high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to the recruiter and joined the Army, and the recruiter asked me what I wanted to be, and I knew what my dad did, and so I said, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? What I appreciate about him is that from early, man, he was my dad before he was even my dad. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember my dad working a third shift job at a place called Teledyne Allvac. I think they did like pipes, whatever they did. But he would come, I would do my homework, and he would come to my grandmother's house where me and my mama stayed, correct my homework, check it, you know what I'm saying, and then go to his third shift job. And then my mama would wake me up early in the morning and I would fix my homework. You know what I'm saying? And he was doing that before he was even, before my mom even got married.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember a time, man, when my grandmother, God rest her soul, and she said, that's going to be your daddy one day. And I asked him if I could call him dad before him and my mom was even married. Man, I absolutely adore this dude, man.
Hey.
I know we always, everybody say that they got the best dad, but bruh, they know him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
bruh,
yeah.
this is the OG, man. My dad, he don't say a whole lot, but you can best believe when he opened his mouth and speak, it's something for you to glean from. You know what I'm saying? He don't waste his words, and that's one thing I respect about him. He don't waste words. And I learned that. Huh?
That's interesting. I love that.
Yeah, he don't waste words, man, and I love him, man. What I love the most, Fry, what I appreciate about him is that I watch how he loved my mama. I watch how he loved my mama, man. I've never seen my dad disrespect my mom. I ain't never seen him argue. I'll be 50 in October. I've never seen him fight.
What?
Never.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm getting there, bro. I'm getting there. But I'm still younger than y'all. As long as I stand next to y'all, I'll be the baby. As long as I stand next to y'all, I'll be the baby. But what I respect about him the most is that I watch how he loved my mom. That means the world to me.
Yeah.
I watch how I'm talking about from day one. I watch how he loved my mama, man. And he's and I know he gonna watch this, but
That's awesome, man.
I watch how he loved my mama, man. I watch how he loved my mama, man.
You get away from me.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm
Right now you do.
I'm not. I'm gonna
Okay. Throw you go to Young Bucks.
No, man, what's the last? Matter of fact, I'm gonna come. You're gonna come after me. I'm gonna speak to that again. So we understand that even though my father wasn't present, but he was present, as I elaborated on earlier. I shared a lot of moments with him, not concentrating or thinking about the past and what had happened and where it was, right? But he wasn't responsible for me, if you understand what I mean. He wasn't, and I knew that. You were never responsible for me. I was your child and you loved me because I had 3 brothers older than me. I was the youngest. So I saw what they did with him and how they interacted with him That's what I did. So it's not like I hated him. I knew him. I saw him. We hung out. Wow. So I appreciated whatever I got from him. Right? Whatever it was. It was fine. Again, at the end, that last week that I talked about, that was the most valuable week, I'm telling you, probably of my life. When it pertains to my parents and my father, I learned so much that week, and I learned what I was doing wrong and how ignorant I was and how prideful I was in protecting my mother and the circumstances that, man, I just overlooked an opportunity to share some things and learn some things, you know, because that's my father. I'm gonna learn from him regardless. And what a missed opportunity. And man, I wrote about it actually.
Boom.
Yeah, but again, I appreciated him coming for that week and being honest with me. When you know, me today, I would never say that to my child. No, you ain't gonna see me in 2 months because I ain't gonna be here. I would never say that to my child.
Yeah,
But again, I appreciated that. I needed that, right? Because he only did what we talked about, what he knew. It was this is who he was. I'm gonna tell you the truth. You might not like it. I'm not gonna be here in 2 months. I was like, what? Man, get out of here. I'll see you in 2 months. I'll come get you. Don't worry about it. Man, please. You know. But again, I appreciated that week and that man, it spoke so much to me over a lifetime. I was 42. I'm 60. I was 42. I'm 60 and Paige 2 years younger than me. Whether he want to be or not. So again, I'll be 60 in December, and man, what an experience and what an appreciation for him. And again, when I speak of my father, it's not all negative. I can speak to. I knew him, right? Even though I didn't have the prototypical stereotype relationship of us going fishing, you coming to my games, and we doing all that. I had none of that. Yeah. Zero. Actually, no one in my family has ever seen me play anything, and I played everything.
I can relate to that.
You know, and you know what's crazy about that? And to include my siblings and my mother. And I played every sport there was, but it wasn't an issue. It didn't consume me, right? I never thought about it.
Because you was getting praise from everybody else because you was a good player.
I never thought about it. It wasn't even that, Mike. I was a young kid. I'm learning how to play the game.
Yeah.
But I never thought about anyone coming to see me. And you know how I learned that? Watching the younger players coming up.
Well, that wasn't normal in that day.
It wasn't because Mama had to work.
Yeah, we knew that.
Matter of fact, me being the youngest, everybody else had to work.
Yeah, that
you
wasn't
know?
normal in that day.
But I didn't realize that till I saw the younger generation and how the parents engaged them, put them in every camp. They're going to summer camp. What is it they played? AAU.
Yeah.
They're doing this. Yeah. Then I realized, you know what, man? I played summer junior Olympics. I went all over the place. I did all of that.
Yeah.
And never once did I think that it was an issue that my parents or my mother or my sibling wasn't there. Because I understood.
You knew why.
That's right. I knew why.
Yeah.
That's what was important. I knew why.
Yep.
I knew why.
Yep.
And we understood that at a young age. So, yeah. Mike, talk to me. So I'm gonna read it to you guys again, okay?
Mr. Page got to do.
Hey, you went already.
No, see,
He went already.
look.
He did say that. It caught what you said.
You
You
were
said
supposed to go, and then
yeah, you said you was gonna say the Young Bucks for last.
Until he said something. So again, I'm gonna read it to y'all again.
I got
I'm
you.
doing this for a reason.
I got
right?
you. I got you.
So
I got you.
when Mr. Page is gonna tell me, don't come to me, you gonna close me out on this question.
All right,
I do it for a reason.
I
You
got
know,
you. I got
you know
you.
me.
I got you.
Hey, like domino game, man.
yeah, domino, baby.
Hey, to change the rules in the
Change
middle of
in
it.
the middle of the game.
So, if you have or had a present engaged father, what is something you can share with him and the audience that you appreciate or appreciated the most about him as your father? Talk to me.
Hopefully he'll see this. I just want to get out the way. Love my dad. Love him to death. And the one thing I appreciate the most, even though he wasn't here physically, is he always made sure, no matter what sporting event I had, basketball, football, school, he was always in tune with what I needed. What do I need? Do I need this? Do I need that? And here again, over the last 3 years, we've gotten way closer than what we were 16 years ago. Being what I went through, I believe that brought us closer together, in the sense of having the conversations, going to see him more, because we understood what could happen. And back in January, I finally had to ask him a couple weeks ago. I asked him. He calls me a lot more often than he normally does, and I asked him, because a couple months ago I could have lost my life. He said it. He choked up on his words. He said yes. And his mom told him that was, he needs to have that conversation.
Your grandma.
My grandmother told him he needs to have a conversation, but he kept avoiding it.
Was it something that you needed? Was it something that
Yeah,
resonated with you?
It definitely did, because it was on my mind, and I talked to my mom about it. I talked to my stepmom about it, and I appreciated having that conversation with him, and all the other things that he did. Even though he wasn't here physically, it made me appreciate it a lot more. That my dad still made a way. And my mom, I didn't know this until I got older. My mom told me, she was like, a lot of stuff that you wanted from her, that I asked her for, he was the one behind the scenes.
Providing.
Yep, and I didn't know that. So I told him thank you. Every day I tell him thank you. Every time I talk to him, I tell him I love you and I thank you.
Wow, that's something. So Trayvon, and you lost your dad.
Yeah, sure.
But I hear the conversation that you've been speaking to us. What a fantastic relationship you guys had. So speak to some of the appreciations for Dad.
Man, I just think, man, the appreciation is, in the time in America, man, like my uncle, his brother, man, they was running together a lot. My mom tell me stories all the time. My pops had a passport, and he was going to Mexico, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying, every week, and he'll go for like 2-3 days, and come back, you know what I'm saying, and whatever him and my uncle was doing. My uncle ended up going to jail, but my pops had stopped before that. I wish I could talk to him and ask him, like, what was that time like? Like, why did you? You know what I'm saying? And then to go from that to leave a whole legacy. Now you got me, you got my sister, kids, and it's like,
His generation.
Right, like, that's
started.
insane when you think about it, you know? So I just appreciate him for leaving his legacy and like having me to carry it on as a son, you know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate that, man, because he didn't have to do that. He could have easily stayed in the streets. He could have easily went to jail, like. So I appreciate him. My pops went hard to work every day, man. He come home with concrete on his hands, so for us to have something. So.
That's good, man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
good.
Yeah.
That's good, bro.
So I wanna just elaborate a little bit on why I switched it up. When I went to Mr. Page, so everybody understand, Mr. Page was like, he didn't wanna, no, don't come to me, not right now. And that was the emotion that I saw from him. So to me, sitting here, I want you to close me out. I left Mike for a reason also, because I wanted to hear his perspective, because I know him personally. He dates my daughter, and he talks about his dad, and I hear the conversation. So I'm just, I would love for you to share with us the appreciations for your father, and and just elaborate on that. Just elaborate on that.
For me, I would say my appreciation from my dad would be that he never made me feel inferior when I did fail, and his love never wavered. So no matter if I failed a class in college or if I didn't meet the expectation, even if I did succeed, it wasn't my best work. He never made me feel like, oh, you're such a bad son, or you could have did this, or you could have did better. He always gave me constructive criticism, but he never made me feel less than who he thought I was. So even if I didn't meet that expectation, he still treated me like I did and like I excelled at it already. And he always was forgiving. He was always patient. And I always appreciated that. And it helped me moving forward to be able to be like, okay, now I really want to do this. I really want to excel at this, because I know no matter what I do, I got him to fall back on, and he's not going to.
So you saw his interest in you.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, awesome. Mr. Page. It's funny, so everybody knows out there, me and Daryl, we have the same first name. We have so much in common as brothers, and that's exactly what we are. These are my brothers right here. Again, as me and Max said in the last segment, we lived, cried, did everything together. So even our upbringings are the same. We were born on the same day. We have the same name. We all have girls.
Used to have the same win bands.
No, that's you laughing. That's real talk.
We went through every phase in the Army together, but we didn't know each other until we came here.
In 2000.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
And all of our girls grew up together.
All of our girls right here,
Since
as
Lyric
you guys
and Brianna,
know,
yeah,
they all
they
grew up
went to
together.
daycare together.
That's crazy.
So again, he didn't. When I called on him and he said, "You don't want to talk to me right now," I got emotional sitting here because we have so much in common. And it almost took me somewhere else, and that's why I stopped.
Okay.
That's why I left him to close me out, because even though our fathers weren't there, there was some love and appreciation for our dad, because he did so much. He did a lot. Be it good or bad, we learned, right? So I'm gonna let you close me out on the appreciations for our fathers. From your perspective.
At the end of the day, my daddy was a man. So whether I understood or knew that growing up, I came to know that as I got older. Again, I said the relationship kind of gelled and mended around the 15 and 16. My dad got sick and was in the hospital. It was summer school. I was out for the summer. So my mama said, "Hey, your dad in the hospital." My sister at the time, she lived up there, but she worked, and they said, "Hey, he gonna need somebody." So they bus me, cause back then we ain't buy no plane ticket, to Indiana, and I stayed with my dad during that time, and while he was in the hospital, he got out and recovered and did all that. That right there was the start, the true start of the relationship that I didn't have prior to.
So you're saying that's when you recognized? the relationship. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's when I understood. You know, I recognized it early on, but I didn't understand it until I was able to interact with it. Then that made the difference. When you talk about the one thing that I appreciate the most from him, work ethic, because he worked. And he said, son, ain't nobody gonna, in this world, ain't nobody gonna give you anything. If you want it, you gotta work for it. He told me that. And the second thing I would say is, out of all the things or however he lived his life or whatever he did, my dad was a praying man. And I didn't find that out till later. You know, people would say and hear things, and they growing up just called my daddy Buddy. They was like, boy, that Buddy can pray. I was like, okay. So we at church anniversary for my brother, who's a minister, his anniversary. They had my dad on there as to do the opening prayer. And I was like, I just couldn't believe it. I said, so the third thing, the character of being a God-fearing man. Listening to his prayers and just hearing them, that I appreciate a lot.
That's good.
That's deep.
And here's how, this is why I say I ain't gonna go.
I appreciate you. So you know.
Here's how my dad closed out his life. I was the last person
He talked to.
that he rolled over and looked at and closed his eyes.
I understand how important that is, and we need that. That was closure, right?
Yeah.
Again, we our situations are very similar, but that was closure, and sometimes you don't realize you need it,
Yeah, man.
right? Until you get it, and yeah, that was powerful, brother. I'm telling you, you moved us right now.
Yeah.
With that, you moved us, and I
It's
again, yeah, and you. I had to hold myself. I had to sit back and hold it. So we're gonna close this out with the final question. This is gonna speak your truth to your father. As the man we are today, what is a piece of advice you would give to your father? As the man you are today, let me clarify it. What is the piece of advice you would give to your own father? Okay.
Right now.
Right now. I'm gonna start this segment with Isaac. Yeah, you already know it's coming. I love what you bring to the table.
I love you too, dude.
piece of advice I would give my own father today. Be open for conversation. Be open for conversation. And I say that because a lot of times kids is not gonna ask the question. My son's an introvert. He gonna go to his room, close his door, and geek out on his computers and take them down and tear them apart, you know, and do whatever kids do, you know what I'm saying? And so I have to be the one to engage the conversation, to find out, are you okay? Hardest thing I ever done, and this is along with your question, is ask my kids what kind of job I did. You know what I'm saying? You get
Let's elaborate. What brought you to that question?
I wanted to know if I was doing okay as a father. And to hear your kid, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to know if I was doing a good job. You ask your boss that. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I asked my children all of that because, you know, my father and I, we never had that conversation when I was coming up.
Correct.
Now, you know, now we grown and, you know, I talk to him every Sunday and we talk about everything now. But if I could give him a piece of advice for then, be more open to conversation. Because young Isaac needed it. You know what I'm saying? I just needed to hear, you know, hear it and just know. Because then, you know, then you jump out in the street and you run around with different people and you stealing out the store. You know what I'm saying? And you're doing stuff you ain't supposed to be doing. You wrecking cars and you acting out in school and it's because you didn't get the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know. So just be open to conversation because I know my dad is so closed up. He don't do a whole lot of talking. So that's why that would be one piece of advice from your kids, to be open.
Okay.
To that to a conversation, any conversation.
That's the advice to your father.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that the only version? Are we done? I'm asking. I want to make sure I'm clear.
Man, I absolutely can't stand this dude.
So let me read the question again.
You don't have to.
As the man you are today, what is a piece of advice that you would give to your own father? And if you're done with the conversation, I'll move on, Isaac.
My biological father's not here. And if I could give him a piece of advice for the man I am today, I would say, don't stop trying to knock down the wall. You know what I'm saying? Don't stop trying. Don't give up. You know, don't give up. Because I had one, you know what I'm saying? And then I got to a point where it didn't matter because when I got the greatest, you know, step up dad, whatever y'all call him today, you know what I'm saying? And so then it, you know, it did.
So what wall are you referencing? I mean,
Just,
can you elaborate on that?
I can, man. Like, you know, it's resentment, bro. I mean, you know how hard it is to come up in 71 and I live in a house with my mom and my grandmother, and for the first 10 years of my life, I ain't have a dad. I mean, I seen him on the weekend. I knew who he was, and I don't want people to think like he wasn't around, but he wasn't around unless my grandmother came to get me and take me down to Chesterfield for the summer. That's the only time I seen him. Through school, I didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, and while I'm there, he, you know, but it's just a young man, you know, 10 years, you know, 1 to 10 is needed, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's needed.
Because you're shaping who you're going to become.
And I look back now and I acted out so much in elementary school because I didn't have it, bro.
Yeah.
All I had was my mom and my grandmother. I mean, I got my uncles, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of them, but I didn't have that dad. Everybody had one. I go to the Boy Scout meeting and everybody's dad there but mine. Baseball game, everybody's there. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have one. I didn't have a father there. You know what I'm saying? And then like I tell you, you know, so my advice to him would be whatever happened between you and mom, don't let that stop you from being my father.
Between you and him.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's powerful right there.
That would be my advice to him. And I'm gonna be quiet because I ain't crying.
See, you just told me that's what's wrong.
I'm not. Nah.
So
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna come back to you.
I know you are.
So Nate, what do you want to say to that? What do you want to say to him? What piece of advice that you think? Because I'm talking to young bucks. What thing is
Yeah.
that you think you can give to dad?
Can we come back to me real quick?
I can't come back to you. So Trayvon, talk to me.
For me, I would definitely tell him that loss okay, man. Go get some help if you need it.
The mental health we talked about earlier, right?
It's okay, bro. It's all right, man.
Let it out, bro.
No, it's okay.
Let it out, man.
It's okay, bro.
Let it
We
out.
here for you, just so you know. Yeah, let it out.
In the name of Jesus.
Yeah. So, Nate, what advice you want to give Dad? What advice do you think you want to give him?
Just go the extra mile, man. Go the extra mile with you physically not being here. Go the extra mile.
Go the extra mile?
Because I need that. My brother and my sister, we needed that. Go the extra mile in the sense of not being here is go the extra mile. Because even to this day, I still need that. Go the extra mile. And
Wow.
it's hard. It's hard going the extra mile at a young age and then not realizing he's not going the extra mile because of the differences, you know. That's it. Go the extra mile. It's needed. And I'm trying to hold it back. So
Yeah, it's okay though. It's okay.
It's okay.
We had this conversation earlier about brothers being vulnerable to brothers, right?
Mhm.
We talked about this.
Yeah,
a
we
little
have
bit.
to. Yeah, it's
Mike, I want you to, and I haven't met your parents yet, and your dad. I'm truly looking forward to. But what would you say? What advice would you give to him? Knowing that you know today, being the man that you are, what would you share with Dad right now that you think would be helpful to him?
Knowing what I know now, when my dad's dad is sick, I would tell him it's not too late. So to just go ahead and have that conversation, reach out, make that connection, at least get a little bit of what you missed and get some context and get some perspective and get some closure so that you can just close that chapter and get healed. Because I wouldn't want him to be in a situation to where he could have and he can and he knows who he is and where he is and not make that connection and then look back and be feeling regret for the rest of his life and not get that closure, especially hearing all y'all stories about your dads and stuff like that and you being able to connect with your dad right then and you as well. I wouldn't want my dad to miss that opportunity based off of pride or hurt.
That's deep right there. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, because when I say opportunity missed, you never forget it. You never. I don't care if you never say 2 words to your father. If you know who he is, a loss is a loss, and you never forget what could have been or what should have happened. Daryl. Again, we have similar stories, but that one thing that you would say to Dad, knowing what you know today, right? Not only just knowing what you know, knowing the relationships that we have and the conversations that me, you, Isaac, Grant, that we have about our fathers. What's the one thing that you say to that?
It wouldn't be one thing. I was summing up in probably 3 words. Accountability first, because you're accountable for your actions and what you did. Responsibility, because of your actions, we're here. So now take that responsibility for that. And the third thing that we would conversate about would probably be respect. In the fact that respect my mom for what she did, and not just only my mom. I have siblings that are not by my mom, but respect their parents as their moms as well. So if you take those 3 things today, I think life would be. I mean, we can't change it.
Correct.
But
We can
accountability, responsibility, and respect. I would say. You do that,
Everything be all right.
it'll be all right.
Wow.
That's good.
For me, the advice that I would give to him is don't do it. Don't miss out on your family. Don't miss out on your grandkids. Don't miss out on the woman that you love so much. Don't do it. Don't miss on you seeing the generation that you created grow up. Don't miss out on me and my brothers and my sisters. Don't do it. Don't leave us. Don't miss that opportunity that you can't get back. You're not gonna get it back. Don't do it. That's the advice I'm gonna give to him. Don't do it. Think about it. You're gonna miss the prosper. You're gonna miss the growth of your kids and your family together. Don't do it. Think about it. Don't do it. Don't miss out on your lifetime. You missed your life. You missed the life that you created. This is what you created. You missed it on a decision. On a decision. And what we call a dad. A dumbass decision.
Ain't the dad you was thinking.
Ain't the dad you was thinking. So don't do it. That would be my advice to my father. for so many different reasons, being selfish, because I wanted to stereotype things. I wanted to have you present. I wanted you to show me some things. And my father was a welder by trade back in the day, so he was very well paid. He fished, he worked out. My father did everything, and I learned nothing of that. My car ain't been fixed. I'm like, hey, y'all come get you. Y'all take the Toyota. I need to be fixed. But again, you know, I don't do it. You know. So, in conclusion,
I would say, and I'm sorry for
no, go ahead, brother. Come on.
but when it comes to if I had a closing remark right now,
You're about to say yours, so I'm gonna give y'all one. Go ahead.
I would say if we're going to support or figure out whether it's our purpose or our support to the people of color, male figure wise, the best thing you can do is start with yourself. If you start with yourself and make sure that you are someone that can represent, or you are someone that other people are willing to come to, talk to, approach. You don't necessarily have to be that mentor. I don't necessarily have to be a model to you, but if I'm gonna do anything for you, I gotta start with me.
I agree with that. So in closing, very briefly, guys, I want your thoughts of this segment. Remember, this podcast is about changing the narrative and empowerment, right, of people of color. So in a brief statement, Nate, give me something on the conversation tonight. Just give me your brief thoughts.
Based off the conversation that we had tonight, which impacted me, hearing everybody's story, voice, keep building. Let's keep building. Don't stop here. This is just day one. Rome wasn't built in a day.
That's true.
So let's keep
Like
going.
that.
From this right here to the next. Let's take this, what we learned, the three of us as young men, let's take it and give it to 3 more people.
Yeah.
And let's keep building so they can give it. And hearing that legacy that we talked about, that Trayvon talked about, let's keep building. Let's build a new legacy with the podcast that you're doing. It's great. I love it. The whole time I've been sitting there, I've been, okay, soak it all in. Now let's be a sponge, but with a sponge you gotta wring it out.
Gotta wring it out.
And let's wring it out to other
You
people.
gotta wring it out.
Oh,
Like
Like
that.
that.
Like
Yeah.
that.
I'm gonna use that.
Trayvon, give me something.
Oh man, just it's good to be united, man. I think our community pit each other against each other too often, man. And you can see, man, you got whole different generations of people, and we all have some of the same goals and the same mindset, man. So, like Nate said, man, we got to keep building on this. We got to keep going, and until we get what we need to get, as far as from anybody, the government, whoever, so we can change what's been perceived for us, especially as a black man, man. We got to do that. I hope in my time I get to see my son become an astronaut or whatever he would like to do. Something that's not the norm. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Awesome. Mike, I want you to talk to the audience about what What's your takeaway from the conversation?
And right before Mike go, I like to say, never be too big to take somebody else's advice.
Right.
So, no matter how big you get.
That's big of you to say that.
Right.
Never
As
be
a
too
young
big to
man,
take
that's
somebody
big
else's
of you to say that
Yeah.
as a young man.
Yeah.
Mike, I need to repeat my question.
No, you're good. You're
Okay,
good.
thank you, sir.
I think my biggest takeaway from podcast is let's connect. Just from the moments that we had here, us like not knowing y'all, like or not knowing everybody here personally, and the things that we connected on and that we spoke about, I think brought a breakthrough and was a great opportunity to show the audience how men can be vulnerable and in a healthy setting can communicate, and that we're making steps and we've come leaps and bounds over the years, and even starting earlier to connecting and to being able to get those feelings out and not letting toxic masculinity divert us from having these conversations.
Wow. And that was interesting. Toxic masculinity, right? We can be toxic with each other.
Yeah.
You know, we can be, and we are
Right.
often. Isaac, I want you to take this. Come on, Paige.
I know I had my turn, so
But come on.
this is gonna be my point.
Okay.
And because I know Rev gonna close it.
Yeah.
So, but the one thing that I would say that we need to continue to do going forward for us and our people is just be a vessel. A respectable vessel, because you can be a vessel and you know, not in a good manner, but just to be a vessel that a respectable one. You know, I need to know that the way that I'm living my life, because that's what it's about. If you be as a vessel, the way that I'm living my life can show you or give you a path or give you some say, you know, like, hey, okay, Mr. Page that's okay. You know, I got an issue, but you know what? I think I can go to Mr. Page and ask him about this. I want to be that vessel.
Awesome. I love that. That's just yeah. Okay, Isaac. Man, when you hear the conversation tonight of the young, which is us four, and the old. So, is this a starting point of a great collaboration to what's the truth of what needs to be said?
Yes. But if it stops here, just to go on YouTube, we did 3 hours for nothing.
True.
So what I would say is, we can't change the whole world, but it's 3 men that we can touch. And those 3 men can touch 3 men. And those 3 men can touch 3 more men. And then we can sit outside up under the fire pit and talk about being a better man. That's what we have to do. We have to teach these young black men that they are more than conquerors. We have to teach these men that they are somebody. And we got to teach our black community to corral back around our men. But before we do that, they got to love themselves. We don't love ourselves. And we show it when we're in the street. We can march, we can mobilize, we can strategize, but as black men, what we're talking about, men of color, we do not love ourselves. We have already let them write the narrative that we're never going to amount to nothing, that we're going to go to jail by 21. You know what I'm saying? But you guys going to college, got jobs, having families, doing well. Your story about having a hard time. You're changing the narrative. That's why I told you need to be talking. You need to be talking about what what you and your father went through. You need to be talking about what you and your dad went through. We got to change the narrative, and we have to change the narrative. And so, is this helps?
Yes.
But we can't stop here. And we're not gonna be able to change everybody, but if we change one person,
That's it. We're successful.
and like Paige said, man, we just have to be a vessel. But it's a scripture in the Bible that says in Mark 11:24, it says Jesus was talking. He said, whatever you pray for, if you believe it, I'm paraphrasing, you can have it.
Yep.
Whatever you pray for, if you believe you can have it. There's a but in there though. Verse 25 it says, but if you have any unforgiveness in your heart, forgive so that your Father can forgive you. I said all of that to say, before we gotta forgive our dads for not being there. We gotta forgive. We cannot get on our knees at night and ask God to rain down blessings on us, and we walking around in unforgiveness.
Yes. Yes.
So if you ask me, what can we do?
Yes.
Forgive our dads.
Yes.
For whatever it is they did wrong, for whatever they did as best they could do. The curse stops now. We break it today.
Correct.
And tomorrow we walk in forgiveness and be better men. And man, we gotta stop mean mugging people. Speak to people. You supposed to be the light of the earth. When you walk out there, you supposed, hello, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? We don't talk to each other, man. We don't talk to each other. But let's do more of this.
Absolutely. Wow. And I'm not going to be long, but we're gonna keep this brief. The podcast, Love, Truth, and Power, and I'll speak to it. What a great dynamic. The love, we know, and I'm not going to go straight to the Bible about everything, but God's true intent was for us to love one another. That's the true intent, right?
Greatest commandment.
And the truth of it all is that I treat you better than what I expected myself to be true. That's the truth of it, right? And the power is that these conversations that we have, again, like Isaac said, if it touch one person, man, it's been successful. It's a good deal. And hopefully we can keep it up. But take this, we look at it, and you share it. Share your story, right? Again, we spoke about this earlier. This podcast gives you the opportunity to tell your story, our story, right? So tell your story and share it. I promise you, somebody's benefiting from it. That's the truth.
I'm a witness.
Okay? So in conclusion, I want to thank my panel. It's been an awesome, emotional night. And and hopefully we can come back at another point in time and continue to share our stories and enlighten others and encourage others. And the ultimate goal is to change the narrative of how the world sees men of color. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
No problem.